What led you to the training and how did you decide on it?
I had a powerful breathwork experience at a retreat, is how it started for me. And then came home from that retreat and started practicing breathwork more regularly on my own and followed a few different people after that. And that led me to a second retreat, which was just a breathwork retreat, somatic and breathwork retreat. And so coming out of that, there was just this kind of inner knowing of this is something I want to be aligned with. And this is something that I want to pair with my passion, skills, experience of being a therapist to guide other people towards learning how to be with their breath. And then how I found you specifically is through another friend. I interviewed you, I guess is accurate way to say it. There was alignment there. I think on the very first time we talked, that it was pretty clear to me that we were aligned, and I gave it some time to
Yeah.
sit with it in my system. No, there have been no regrets in my
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah, great. I know the journey is always circuitous, and
Yeah.
it's also been interesting for me as the work has evolved and guided me to support others in this space, whether they're mental health professionals or people that are on their own healing journey. I learn just as much from the people I work with as maybe they learn from me, but then
Mhm.
seeing that there's not a lot of training or education around how the breath is involved in the process of integration and what integration is and developing language and skills around that. How has the experience impacted the way that you've been able to work through your own process of integration, or how you view integration now, or maybe how you're thinking about this process from a therapeutic lens for the clients that you're working with?
I think there's just a lot more consciousness now around integration. I had only thought previously the word integration or the experience of integration had only come in a retreat space or experience like something like that. But to think about it more in terms of life, like we're constantly having experience, and yet we don't think about how we're integrating that life experience continually. And so I think one of the things I've learned through my breathwork practice coming out of the training with you is that time to be with my breath regularly is integrating in all the life experience that I'm having continually.
Mm.
It's this like beautiful space to be with myself. And sometimes there's clarity about things that are coming in that I'm experiencing, and sometimes there's not. It's just like trusting that my system in all its different levels is having that space to take in anything that needs to take in. It's so interesting as a therapist how you see people stuck in these patterns, or also ourselves, but it's easier to see in other people. So you see these people stuck in these patterns and they're not learning from the experiences, right? They just keep
Hmm.
repeating the same patterns over and over again. And so it makes sense when you look at it from that light, right? If we actually had that spaciousness in our
Hmm.
life to integrate all of the life experience that we're having, how we might not have to be stuck in those patterns. There's more self awareness coming in about what's going on. And then that gives you the space to maybe make a different decision, make a different choice, leading to a different outcome. I think that's been a really impactful part of this process for me.
Yeah, for me too. Every time I breathe and meditate through breathing, it is this process of integration where we see past, present, and future, and we start developing this clarity and connection with our higher selves or higher states of awareness and consciousness. And not only does it expose us to that, but it also creates the space from other patterns or loops that we have associated with. And there's a real need and art and push for helping people through that process, because the more time you spend in contact with your higher self or this inner light or this guidance, the closer you get to your own truth. And we don't teach that. We're not teaching that in schools. We're teaching people how to stay in a loop of suffering and conditioning and seek truth outside the self. And like you said, sometimes it comes through, sometimes it doesn't. But it's building that pattern, which is a way different pattern and process to go through, which is the process of integration, than the loop or the
Yeah.
tendencies that can keep us stuck. What, if anything, what shifted for you during the training and how?
I think it piggybacks off of what we were just talking about regarding integration. As I continue to make that space through the breath work, there's access to this higher level of consciousness, this higher level of self-awareness. And the result for me was in how my ego shows up. My ego shows up as not being enough, or I'm missing something or doing something wrong. And so the validation that was coming in through this process with you was, you're not missing anything. You're doing everything right. Can you just trust it? Can you just relax
Mm,
back and trust yourself? So if there was any major big theme that came in for me, it was that through the process of take a good look at that pattern of like where you feel like you're not enough or you're missing something, and what would happen if you let that go and just really trusted how it's unfolding. It might not look the way that you thought it was going to look, but that doesn't mean that something's wrong or you're missing something. I'm walking away with this like more stable foundation in myself, more confidence in myself.
that's beautifully put. And I think it also touches on the theme of integration, which is cultivating a space and a practice to connect with truth or our higher self,
Mm.
but then building the trust to listen to it and honing that as intuition. And again, it's not something that we're taught to do. There's a need for more of these spaces where people are simply allowed to be in that conversation with themselves without any interference. Most often in the world today, there's an agenda or there's an outcome or there's something that's being pushed. How do you see yourself using this work going forward?
There's this more personal piece of it from my own journey that has resonated for me, and the reason why I wanted to go through this training with you. It builds upon what we've already been talking around with integration, right? So what's going to happen if I continue to create a life, create a daily experience where there's space for integration? What's that going to allow for my path going forward? I don't know specifically, right? But it's what resonates. It's the life that I feel like I'm being called to. So that's more the personal aspect. The professional aspect feels similar to me as being a therapist. There's a passion I feel around it. I want to share with other people something that I've found that's so valuable to me, and share it with other people that are ready in their lives to take that next step and restructure their life in a way that is going to help them heal or help them find more of what their purpose is for being here, how they're going to serve the collective.
No other questions except anything else that I
Yeah.
didn't ask that you just wanted to share. You're welcome to share.
The only other question that comes up for me that I feel like you miss highlights more of you as an individual. You didn't ask anything more personal about you. I want to speak to that just a little bit. I think you just do a really beautiful job of creating a space that feels really safe. There's a lot of flexibility. I know for me personally, I came in having some more specific ideas of what this experience was going to be like. And when I voiced that to you, that I was having trouble and feeling some confusion, the way you held that container felt really safe and nurturing for me. I've never regretted the decision to go with you to train me. And I think that is this underlying piece around why is that you have this flexibility and openness in your system to meet people where they're at, which I think is really important because we're all coming in from different life experiences in different places. So I think that is really important comparatively to some of the other opportunities I had to train with different people. And another way to think about it too is to just acknowledge the way that you're even structuring, getting feedback about this process. A lot of other people would have just said, hey, can you just shoot me a quote about your experience? And instead, you said, no, sit down with me. Let's do this interview. That speaks to what you have to offer in this process. There's this personable energy that you offer that allows you to meet each person where they're at, which is really valuable for this experience because it's not just a training, right? It's part of our transformation. It's part of our journey experience. And so in that way, there is this therapeutic aspect to it. And I appreciate that you're attuned to that.
Thank you. That's beautiful. And thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. I've learned so much just from walking alongside of everyone that I've had the opportunity to work with. To hear you reflect some of that back means a lot because I don't know what this path has in store. And that's part of the excitement. It was a breathwork training, but it's so much more than
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
We just like the word. And like you said, there's something so much deeper. We're remembering these ancient practices through a therapeutic lens. It's the first thing that we do when we enter the body. It's the last thing we do before we leave the body. And if we can develop an intimate relationship with it to be guided to a higher state here on earth, wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.